The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Clark County, Nevada, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 34784. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new vehicle. Starting just under the front bumper, attached to the frame rail on the passenger and driver's side, you'll find 2 open-ended tow hooks. Moving up onto the face of the bumper on the passenger and driver's side, you'll find 2 electronic speakers. Moving just inside of that location, you'll find dual air horns. Directly in the center on the bumper face is your unit identifier, Unit 34. Let's move up onto the bumper extension, where we'll find on the driver's side your mechanical siren. As we move just inside of that location on the passenger and driver's side, you'll find 2 tubbed storage locations with Velcro straps on top. As we move to the center, you'll find a tubbed storage location with a swivel discharge inside. As we move up onto the cab face, you'll find on the outer edge a turn indicator marker. Just inside that location, you'll find the headlight structure housing a low and high beam headlight. Directly above that, you'll find emergency warning lights forward facing. As we move just behind the Pierce logo is where you'll find the release mechanism for the hood. As we move up onto the windshield, you'll find 3 windshield wipers across the seamless one-piece windshield. Moving to the outer edges, you'll find your mirrors housing a flat and convex mirror. And as we move to the brow of the apparatus, you'll find 5 clearance lights across the very top of the vehicle. In the very center, you'll find a forward-facing floodlight. As we move up to the very top in the roof area, you'll find your emergency warning lights. And then just above that emergency warning light cluster is where you'll find your Opticom. Let's take a look at some close-ups of the items that we just talked about. First, this is your bumper extension, swivel discharge in the front. Moving now to the front axle, you'll find Alcoa wheels, aluminum, and also Michelin tires. You'll also find a sight gauge for your wheel hub. Moving to the front once again, front discharge, 1.5" swivel discharge. Quick location check here for your Pierce logo, front of the grille. As you access behind, you'll find the latch, which will gain access into the space. This is going to be on the passenger side. You'll find the fill location for your front windshield wiper. You'll also find a fill location for your coolant. There's also instructions on the rear wall regarding raise and lowering cab operations. The yellow and black button are the activation. Moving to the right, you'll find the red switch, which will allow you to engage either raise cab or lower cab. Moving over to the right, you'll find your power steering fill location for your ATF Dextron 3. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the driver's side of the vehicle. Here's a full shot. Let's go ahead and focus now on the front cab area. We'll start at the front bumper extension, where you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. As we move just downward from that location, you'll find the drain location for your front bumper load. And then as we move to the axle, you'll find the sight gauge. Moving up, you'll find your door latches, which are easily accessible with a gloved hand. And then just behind that, or to the right of that image, is where you'll find your grab handle for gaining access in and out of the cab. As we move directly over the front axle, you'll find a keyless push button entry, and then also the plug-in location for your shore power with a green indicator once it has been plugged in. You'll also find your unit identifier, Unit 34. As we move from this location, let's move directly over the mid window over the axle. You'll find a side-facing floodlight, and then as we move to the rear section of the cab, you'll find an LED indicator lamp indicating the water tank level. Just down from that location, an additional side-facing emergency warning light. Take a look at some close-ups. Once again, the keyless entry, and then also your shoreline power. Let's take a quick look at the side of the vehicle. This is the driver's side. We'll start on the lower left corner of this image with the driver's side pump panel. Starting in the lower left, you'll find your 2.5" discharges. Also within the same vicinity, you'll find this warning label, pressure hazard. Be cautious when opening caps, they may be under pressure. Moving just to the right, behind the Pierce logo American flag eagle, this is your large diameter pump intake. And then in the upper right hand corner is your auxiliary foam functions. You'll also find an instruction label, and then just beneath that you'll find a warning label. Do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. Let's move to the upper right hand corner. We have an additional warning label here regarding fall hazard. Do not ride on the side of your vehicle. Just beneath that you'll find the air inlet. And as we move all the way down to the very bottom, you'll find all of your color-coded and labeled discharge drains. As we move to the right, you'll find the driver's side auxiliary inlet. This is a 2.5-inch female inlet. Let's move directly up to the very top of the roll-up door area where you'll find backboard storage location. As we move just to the right, you'll find your 2.5-inch discharge. There's also on the lower right-hand corner in the same area, you'll find the release mechanism, which will allow you to remove the speed lay. Let's move down where we'll find 2.5-inch discharges, one on the left and also on the right, the yellow and white. The release mechanism in the center is where you release both of those speed lays. Moving to the right, you'll also find a warning label here regarding entanglement hazard. Because of those hoses coming from aloft, there is the possibility of an entanglement. Let's move to the next compartment on the driver's side, which will be your pump panel compartment. Let's first start in the upper left-hand corner. At the top of the pump panel is where you'll find this light illuminating, indicating your pump is properly engaged from the cab area. You'll also find an audible speaker here with volume control on the face of the speaker. As we move to the right, the green module is your foam A tank. It's a LED indicator of the amount of foam in the tank. Moving to the right in the gray module is where you're going to find your master intake gauge on the left, and then on the right you'll find your master discharge gauge. In between the two of those gauges is your test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. They are currently plugged and are for testing purposes. As we move to the right, you'll find your PCM fault, an indicator light, and then also just beneath it an audible speaker, which allows you to dampen or brighten the sound by simply turning the outer edge of the bezel. As we move down, we'll find all of our discharges. We're going to find clearly color-coded and labeled, also red indicating foam capable. As we move to the right, you'll find your pressure throttle governor. And as we move down, you'll find your recirculating line. This is a twist, not a pull. Moving further to the right, you'll find your Husky 12 foam system module. It is the red module. To the right, you'll find the pull for your primer for your pump prime. And then also as we move down to the left, you'll find your tank fill recirculating line and also tank to pump. Just to the right, you'll find your deluge discharge. Moving further to the right, you'll find the driver's rear discharge. We also have two placards on the right. One is going to be your Husky Foam System 12 instructions, and the next is the specifications for that foam system. As we move down, you'll find two electronic valves, the number 2 passenger side and large diameter passenger side. At the very bottom, we'll find your intake relief valve. Instructions are on the placard for operation. As we move to the right, you'll find all of your color-coded discharge drains. Let's move just to the right where you'll find this pan door. Behind the pan door is what we'll talk about next. As we look to the pan door itself on the inside, this is your manual pump shift. It's the red protected with an indicator. As we move to the left on the back of the door is where you'll find instructions for foam fill operations, and the yellow handle is for those operations. As we move to the side, you'll also find driver's side scene lights and also a red air horn switch. Moving to the opposite side, we're going to find all of our information regarding only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment, and only after they've had proper training. Just beneath that, you'll find your minimum operation maintenance schedule. The very center houses the information for 150, 200, and 250 test pressures. On the left are the associated GPM with that test pressure, and on the right also the matching RPM. The 5-digit job number 34784-02 is also indicated on this plaque. As we move to the upper corner, you'll find a 12-volt barrel-style accessed plug, and then also your air compressor when plugged into shore power. This will maintain brake pressure. Just beneath that, you'll find a pull-out style drawer.
Let's take a look at the side of the vehicle now with the compartment doors in the closed position. You'll find two wheel chucks, one in the front and one in the rear of the axle. You'll also find these two pan doors. First one in the very front section is going to house SCBA bottle storage, and the next one behind, we'll talk a little bit about that when we get to that image. You do have a side-facing emergency light directly over the axle, and then also two side-facing emergency lights, and at the very rear, a side-facing scene light. Let's take a look now with those compartments in the open position. We'll first start in the compartment directly over the axle. We have 3 SCBA bottles in the front, and then also a single SCBA bottle and a combination fuel location for diesel and DEF. As we move upward, you'll find this is directly over the axle. You'll find roll-up door. You'll also find LED charge lights on the right. Here's a close-up of those SCBA bottle storage with retaining straps. And then as we look to the right, you'll find the flap at the top is now indicating ultra low sulfur diesel. That's the silver cap. As we move that downward, it exposes the blue 4.5 DEF tank. Let's move to the rear compartment where you'll find a tool board. D-handle will gain access to opening it. Behind that, you'll also find a release mechanism. As we move down to the very bottom, you'll find a pull-out tray. The release is on the right. And as I indicated before, there's the release mechanism on the hinge side. It will lock in position. Let's move around to the rear of the apparatus where you'll find your brake, turn, and reverse light. You'll also find a set of emergency emergency lights. And then as we move also upward, we'll find a fold-down step at the left-hand side of the vehicle. We move all the way to the very top, you'll find 2 emergency warning lights. And then further up above that, you'll find 2 rear-facing scene lights. Those are adjustable. Moving just down to the lower left-hand corner on the driver's side of the vehicle, you find 2 pan doors. We'll talk about the contents in those in just a moment. First, let's take a look at the 2 discharges. We have driver's side and passenger side. These are both 2.5-inch discharges. I'd also like to point out a few warning labels within this area. First, starting with the left-hand side, which is once again a warning for pressure hazard. Once again, caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening. Then to the right, we've got an entanglement hazard because of the hose from aloft. And then as we move to the very top section, you'll find in the very center above the Pierce logo, this is your backup camera system. And above that, you'll find your traffic advisor located just above those discharges. Let's take a look now at the additional information here we talked about earlier, which are those 2 pan doors on the left. These are going to be your ground ladders. As we start in the lower compartment, first you'll find a 14-foot ground ladder, a 24-foot 2-section extension ladder. As we move to the very top, you'll find a 12-foot pike pole and also a 10-foot folding attic ladder. As we move down in the lower compartment, you'll find a pull-out tray in the lower section, adjustable shelf in the upper area. This is it now in the full deployed position. As we move to the right is where you'll find your ladder for gaining access to the top area. I would like to point out some fall hazard information. Never ride on the vehicle while it's in motion, and when climbing the ladder, you should always face it. You'll also find some warning labels here regarding pinch point, watch your hands. And then also as we move to the very top of the vehicle, just a quick look at the overall top of the vehicle. There are hatch compartments, 2 on the passenger side and also 2 on the driver's side. They do house dry deck material inside and then also LED lighting. Let's move to the forward section where you'll find the covered area which houses your water fill location and also the fill location for your foam tank A. On the foam tank A, there is a warning label regarding foam failure. Once again, don't mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. Let's move forward to this location to the dunnage area where you'll find your reel rewind. It's in the upper left-hand corner. There's also a manual rewind location for your tool. And as we move to the right-hand side, you'll find the free spool or tension. That's a knob on the right side. Also, as we move to the very front section, you'll find a fold-down step and then also the Husky 12 reservoir. There's a sight gauge and then also a maintenance valve on the lower section. Just beneath the reel rewind button, there is a breaker switch. Let's move from this location just to the right of the side and we'll find our master stream device. And as we move to the cab, there are 2 warning labels here. One, this area is extremely slippery, and that's why these warning labels here indicating not a walking surface. Let's go ahead and move now from this location to the passenger side rear compartment, adjustable shelving, LED lighting, and dry deck material inside. As we move forward to this location, we'll find 2 SCBA bottle storage locations and also a fill location for your diesel fuel. We do have 2 drop down or tilt out shelves at the very upper portion in the center compartment. Just a reminder, ultra low sulfur diesel is what's required. As we look inside this compartment, you'll find the fill location, silver cap indicating ultra low sulfur diesel. Also 2 SCBA bottle storage location. In the forward compartment, we have 2 SCBA bottles and also an oxygen storage. I would like to point out directly below that, we do have a warning label here, extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures, be cautious where you park your vehicle. As we move over, you'll find the cutout location here for your booster hose to gain access through the side sheet. And then also as we move to the very front compartment, you'll find in the very back section of this compartment, there's also a 12-volt access barrel style here. Let's move now to the crosslay area. Same configuration as the driver's side, 2.5 inch in the upper section, backboard storage, and also this is the location for your reel rewind. It's a switch down in the lower left-hand corner. Let's move now down to the passenger side pump panel area. We'll first start in the upper left-hand corner with a warning label indicating fall hazard, do not ride on the side of the vehicle while it's in motion. You'll also find the access for your water strainer, and as we move up to the very top, you'll find a switch here. This is the passenger side scene lights. Moving downward from this location, Pierce logo, American flag eagle, large diameter passenger side intake. As we move to the right, you'll find a warning label here, once again about pressure hazards. This vehicle is equipped with electric valves. We have a 2.5 inch on this side, and there is also an override for that 2.5 just beneath it. As we move down to the lower left, you'll find the passenger side auxiliary inlet. This is a female inlet. And as we move at the very bottom, you'll find all of your color-coded discharge drains. You'll also find the passenger side large diameter discharge. There's also an override for it because it's an electric valve. Let's move from this location into the front section or cab area. This is a quick look into the cab area on the passenger side. I'd like to point out, affixed to all door panels, you'll find all of our safety and warning information. As we look inside the cab area, you'll find a few components, and we'll talk about what those are as we move through. First, starting at the very top section, you'll find 2 compartments in the upper section. They do have doors with hydraulic cylinders, and also inside you'll find 12-volt access via USB style. As we move through the sections inside the rear section of the cab, you'll find 2 exterior, or at least on the outer edges, fold-down seats, and then 2 center-mounted seats. Once again, unit identifier and access via keyless entry. As we move around now to the front section, this is the passenger side, moving into the step area. Once again, affixed to the door panels, we'll find all of our safety and warning information. This vehicle is equipped with a passenger side airbag. Therefore, we do have a warning label here indicating do not mount anything within this area. And also the SRS bag is located in this black area. Let's move just to the left where you'll find the radio push to talk. As we move just inside of that location, you'll also find 12-volt access via USB style. And then moving forward to this location, you'll find your vehicle data recording port. Let's take a quick look from the officer seat to the rear. You'll also find barrel style 12-volt access. There are 2 located here. As we look overhead, you'll find push on and off white and red lights. Let's start first on the right-hand side with your unit radio. As we move just inside of this location, we'll find a memory switch location, where we'll find your air horn, siren brake, 2 future switch locations if necessary, and then also your front flood and passenger side flood, and in the lower section 2 additional future switch locations. Moving just to the left, you'll find a digital readout for your pump pressure, and then also a water and foam level indicator. These are also LED. Moving now to the driver's side, first, once again, affixed to the door panel, all of our safety and warning information. I would also like to point out an additional placard on the door. It's the yellow placard. We'll go over that in just a moment. First, you'll find your auto charger in the lower right-hand corner at the pedestal area. As we move to the inside corner, you'll find this yellow placard, manufactured for your department. It has the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, VIN number, and also all of the fluid capacities for components, fluid capacity types. It's extremely helpful for anyone making any fluid changes. It's also affixed on the left door panel. You'll find your mechanical siren foot pedal located in the lower section. Moving up to about the left knee of the operator, we'll find our master battery switch, quarter turn. Moving just down from this location, you'll find your tech module, engine, transmission, ABS diagnostic port, and also the display port. You'll also find 4 switches, ABS diagnostics and engine diagnostics. The lower switches are your regen inhibit and DPF regen switches. Let's move to the dash now. First, we'll start on the left-hand side with your 4-way flashers or hazard lights. Moving downward, a start switch and ignition switch. Moving just to the right, you'll find a switch labeled EM, which stands for Emergency Master. It will engage or disengage all of your emergency lights at one button. Moving to the right, you'll find your headlight switch and panel rocker switch to brighten or dim lights within preview of the operator. And then to the right, your high idle. Moving up to the left, you'll find your transmission, oil, DEF level, and water temperature. In the center, you'll find the tachometer and speedometer. To the right, you'll find front and rear air, volts, and fuel level. You'll find diagnostic information will display above and below the speedometer. As we move just to the right, you'll find pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. Just to the right, you'll find your Pierce command zone, a tremendous amount of information here available at your fingertips. As we move to the right, you'll find your Allison transmission pad with an indication to pump in the neutral position. Let's go ahead and cover those items individually. First, your command zone. You're also going to have touchscreen and then also finger buttons down at the lower portion if you choose. Once again, see your owner's manual about this. This is a tremendous amount of information just in this module itself. To the right, Allison transmission pad. Further to the right, you'll find your perimeter lights, fuel primer, and load manager, engine brake on and off, a setting switch for that engine brake for low, medium, and high, push to talk, and then also your mirror heat. Moving to the right, you'll find your traffic advisor, OK to pump and roll stationary indicator, your water pump and your foam pump, mirror controls for left and right, and then once again your traffic advisor. To the very center, you'll find your climate control, heat, air conditioning, and defrost. As we move overhead, I'd like to point out this yellow placard, first indicating the height, length, and gross vehicle weight rating of your vehicle, 11 feet 0 inches, length 32 feet 9 inches, gross vehicle weight rating 49,800 pounds. To the right, you'll find Emergency Master for roof light, front warning, side warning, lower, upper, high beam, and opticom. Moving to the right, you'll find your air horn, siren brake, front flood, driver's side, passenger side, and rear scene lights. Moving further to the right, your PA system and also electronic siren. Moving even further to the right, we'll find your AM/FM radio, weather band, CD, Bluetooth, radio. And then to the right, you'll find this Pierce indicator indicating red, that there is someone in the seat but they are not belted, green indicating they're in the seat and belted. Let's take a look at the top or roof line. This is where your do not move your apparatus when this light is on. This is indicating you have a compartment or door open. Just a quick point out again, these are those warning labels affixed to the door panel, and then in the lower right hand corner, this is going to be an additional Pierce information placard, once again housing all of the information we talked about previously. As we move around to the rear section, this is going to be on the driver's side. Once again, affixed to the door panel, we have all of our safety and warning information. This is going to be directly behind the driver's seat, and as we look to the upper portion, you can see those compartments at the very top with the lift up. As we look inside the compartment, LED lighting, and then also 12-volt USB style access. As we move overhead, you'll find your heating and air conditioning unit and also filter system. As we move downward from this location, we're going to find at the rear section a netting area with the light at the very top for that compartment. And at the very bottom section, you'll find your daily checks for oil and transmission. Just a general view here of the rear section. Once again, 2 outer fold-down seats and 1 center seat. Congratulations, Clark County, Nevada, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 34784. If you have any questions about your vehicle, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.